Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and I'm here on a special surprise day, bonus video this week, but to share my Frugal Frocks 21 challenge entry. So today is the last day to enter the Frugal Frocks, and I think, not necessarily, I mean it is the last day, but today's the big reveal day, I guess, to reveal your Frugal Frocks make. So again, I had a video on kind of my plans and sharing some free patterns and stuff like that with you guys, but the whole point of the challenge was to find a free dress pattern, use some fabric from your stash, and create a Frugal Frock. So if you are interested, don't forget you need to use the hashtag FrugalFrocks21 and also make sure that you tag Sam from Frugalisama. It's like Frugalism, but she has her Frugal is Sama, and then also Ruan from the Yorkshire Sew Girl. Make sure you tag on. I'll leave all that information down below. But let's dig into my pattern that I picked. So this is a dress from fabric-store.com, which is a linen fabric store here in the US, and they have a ton of free patterns. And I had picked the, oh gosh, what is this one called? The Mona? Maybe the Mona? I'll pop a picture of the pattern and the name, which is just a simple shift dress. I thought it looked very interesting, and I wanted to try it, and it was a pattern that did not have bust darts, but I'm actually going to show you in a minute the pattern alterations that I did for myself to give myself a bust dart. And I chose some fabric from my stash. I had a little over a yard. This was part of the fabric that I inherited from my mentor Joyce, when she got rid of all of her fabric stash and was dividing it up among all of our sewing friends. And then I used scraps of, not scraps, it was bias binding that I had made a whole bunch of some real lightweight, like shirting denim, but shirting weight denim, to do bias binding to finish off the arms and the neck. And instead of finishing off the bias facing on the inside, I decided to make it a feature and finish it off on the outside. So this is my dress. Now, I want to put a little caveat on this before we go any further. All right, so I wasn't sure about the length, if I would have enough for the length of the dress, and I ended up taking 2 more inches off the length of the dress just to make it fit onto the fabric. There's a front, a back, and then the little facing piece to finish off the back, which is really wide, but anyway, and I just used self fabric for that on that one. But there was no bust darts, and I picked the size based on my upper bust measurement, and I'm glad I did. It fits fine through the upper bust. This project was just fraught with oopsies. Okay, so there were no bust darts, so I added in bust darts because I needed the width, and I also, for my boobs, and I also just find that bust darts just work. Things just fit better if I've got a bust dart. So I added one in and went off the apex by putting the pattern up to me. Now, since doing the pattern work, so there was an amount of time between doing the pattern work and making up the dress, not a lot, but I got all new bras because my old bras were just done. I mean, bras wear out, and it was time to redo all of my bras. And my apex in my new bras is about 1 inch higher than my old apex, which tells you how badly I actually did need new bras. However, I had already sewn up the side seams and serged everything, so the bust darts are low on this. You know, okay, so that was the first thing, not a huge deal. Number 2, so I had to cut some length off. I was able to get the pockets in on this. I did not have enough fabric to get they have like a grown-on pocket on the pattern piece, but I just cut it off, and I show you that in the video here in a second. And I just picked some, I had some lining fabric in my stash that I used that was white, that I used for the pockets, so it does have the pockets. So I put it on when I had everything finished except for the hem, because I was trying to decide if I wanted to do a hemband on the bottom. And it was before I had finished off my neck edges, because I don't have any more of this fabric left. I had the bias tape, but I don't have any fabric left to do a hemband. So I put it on. The length was perfect, you know, like right above my knees. maybe like 2 inches above my knees, probably. So I'm like, oh, I can just leave the hem raw because I love that look. It'll be great. Sewed around the hem, went ahead, finished everything off, sewed around the hem, and then because I wanted it to fray, because I wanted that, you know, frayed hem, I threw it in the wash so that it would do its fraying thing. And again, for the hem, I sewed 5/8 of an inch, I think, around the dress just to keep it from fraying up too much. And then dried it, and holy moly, this dress shrunk up in the length quite a bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I didn't feel like it shrunk up that much when I washed the yardage, and I washed and dried the yardage. I have no idea what happened, but this dress is super short. Now, could I go in and add a band of fabric at the bottom to lengthen it? Yes, I could. I just don't know what to choose. I don't have any more of this fabric left. I used all of it for the dress that I had, and I don't have anything of this left, and I feel like it needs to be the same as this fabric in order to look right. And then I'm like, the bust darts are too low, and to be honest, now that it's finished, the neckline is just, it's too high. Like, I just don't like that high of a neckline on me. Now, it's not as uniboob, I don't think, because it's got the cut-in sleeves, you know, like there is some skin showing up there, but it's just not comfortable. I just don't like it. It's not, I don't wear necklines that high, and so it just, it feels uncomfortable. I can get it on fine. I used a button from my stash, so I don't know if it's worth trying to salvage it or if it just needs to find a new home to a very short person because the hemline is very short. But this is my Frugal frock. And I'm very happy with the finishes I did on it. I mean, I think that my binding looks good. So as you can see, it's a real clean finish on the inside because I turned the bias, obviously, turned the bias facings to the outside to stitch down. And I just think it's a very beautiful finish. And I think it's got, the pattern has a lot of potential. I did a 2-inch full bust adjustment in the front, and then I added a half of an inch on the back piece right from the shoulder down, and I eased that extra width into, when I sewed the shoulder, I eased that in just to give me a little bit, I have a little bit broader back, just to give me that space so it gave me a full inch across the back, 4 inches across the front. So it was an extra 5 inches across the bust line, which was perfect. So it's not even the fitting that I'm mad about. I just think I feel like I needed to change the neckline a little bit, make it a little more scooped for me, or even like a little wider. I don't know. So I'm not giving up on the pattern, and then I need to move my bust darts up an inch. But I'm not giving up on the pattern, I don't think, but I just don't know if this one is salvageable. I mean, I could maybe do, I don't know. If you guys have any ideas of a band or something I could put on the bottom that wouldn't be too like mismatched looking, because I've got already have the contrast there, let me know what you think down below. But even still, I think that with the neckline being too high, and I'm just not going to take this off and redo the neckline and put it back on. I could, but I'm probably not going to do that. And I'm not going to change the darts because there's serging and everything in there, and that's just a lot of work. Anyway, so I have mixed feelings about my Frugal frock. I think I would really like the pattern. I think I want to play around with it a lot. It was just one of those projects that like everything just seemed to be going wrong every time. You know, it was supposed to be a quick project and it wasn't. Anyway, just one of those projects that happens every now and again. But I will pop footage here of me actually in it, and yeah, it's short. I realized that. I won't be wearing it out this short. Just to clarify, it's too short. Yeah, I can't even bend over, and I don't know. At 41, I don't mind wearing short things because I am short, so I think like proportionally, things above my knee I think are a good look for me, but I don't feel like at 41 I should be wearing anything this short. So, my own personal preference, you know, you do you, but yes. And my husband, and it's cute with the jean jacket I even think, but my husband was like, whoa, you're flashing some goods. I was like, just be the photographer and yeah, we'll make it happen. But anyway, not giving up on the pattern because I think that there is quite a bit of potential that's there. Okay, I'm gonna shut up and take you over to the adjustments that I did to the pattern. Okay, I'm going to show you, I've had some requests on showing what I'm going to do to this pattern. Now, actually, my fabric is laundered, and I've ironed it, and I've just thrown it in the pile there. But I want to show you the alterations I did real quick. I showed this to you on the plans video, but I have done a full bust adjustment here and added 2 inches to the front. Remember, I picked a size based on my upper bust measurement. So the finished measurement on this was like 35.5, I think. My upper bust is actually 36, but there's no sleeves on this, so I think I wanted to err on the side of caution on this. So I've added 2 inches because I need, my bust measurement right now is like 39, so I want at least, I mean, I can get away with an inch of ease in the bust on a dress like this just because, again, there's no sleeves, so nothing is catching. I just don't want anything pulling or being too tight across the top. So typically I go with 2 inches of ease, but this should be fine. So I've added 2 inches here, which will give me 4 inches across the front. And they had a line here for the apex, and I literally just held this up to my body to find the apex and then went from there. I did shorten the body by 1 inch right above the pocket, just because I noticed on a lot of, because I'm so short, on a lot of dresses, patterns, the pockets are just a little low for me to comfortably stick my hand in. So that's a good place for me to remove length, is right above the pocket. Then it puts everything where it needs to be. But that's the only alteration I've done on the front. It's just adding the 2 inch and giving myself a bust dart. So when you do a full bust adjustment where there's not a bust dart, it gives you a bust dart. So I will sew that dart there. So that's what I've done to the front. And then to the back, I have just taken a line parallel to the grain line. Actually, it's right on the grain line, all the way from the shoulder to the hem, and I've added in a 1/2 inch. Now, of course, this is going to make my shoulder a 1/2 inch bigger than the front shoulder. I'm just going to ease in that difference when I'm sewing this. And that, I mean, I can ease in a 1/2 inch. That will work. And then because this will be on both sides of the back, that will give me another inch. So then that gives me an extra 5 inches, which puts me at 40.5 for my finished bust measurement. So that should be just perfect. Now, I mentioned so that's the adjustments I've done. This pattern has a front and back, both get cut on the fold, but the back here goes in a little bit, and then there's, to get it over your head, and then you can put like a little hook and eye, or a little button and thread loop or elastic or something like that. But then there's this little facing piece that finishes that area off right there. So those are the only 3 pieces of this pattern. Now, I mentioned because of my limited fabric that I wasn't going to be able to get my pockets. And I still haven't determined if I can get the full length on there or not. But I've not determined if I can get my pocket. I cannot get my pockets on, I know that. So what I'm going to do, because I'd like to keep the pockets, is I made a line just right there with my side seams, because a seam allowance is already on there of 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to cut the pocket off here and then add in a 3/8 inch seam allowance on this side of the pocket piece. So I'm just cutting the pocket pieces off and doing that, and maybe I can eke them out of different spots on this fabric. If not, I will just find I have some white linen in my stash, and I'll cut those out of the white linen. And then I'll just be sewing these on. Yeah, and that should be perfect. And then it would be just like sewing the pocket piece on. So I'm trying to think, because I don't think I need the extra seam allowance on this dress side. I think it'll work fine if I just add the seam allowance onto the pocket piece on this side. In my head, that works because there's already a seam allowance. You know, the actual sewing line of this dress is 3/8 of an inch in here. So, okay. So that is what I've done to the pattern. Yeah. So I'm going to cut off the pockets, and that's just going to be, it's literally going to be me doing this. And I've written in notches here so I can easily match them back up when it's time, so I know where everything is. So I'm just cutting that off like that, and then I will add 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on this side when I cut those out. And I'm going to do back pocket. I mean, I would think those are the same size, but let's just err on the side of caution. And there's the front pocket. Okay. So yeah, there we have it. So So I'm going to now put these on my fabric and see what we can get away with. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the adjustments I made to the pattern. Nothing too major, other than I need to raise my bust dart now. But yeah, that's everything I've got for today, my little bonus video. I hope you guys got your Frugal Frocks in. I've been having a lot of fun searching the hashtag and just seeing what everyone's doing. There's some really great ways to do some budget-friendly sewing and some really fabulous garments that can come out of that. Anyway, definitely have a good time going through that. It's a lot of fun and a lot of inspiration right there. Okay guys, Friday I've got pants 1 for my 1 pattern 3 ways, the Persephones, and that will be up on Friday. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I'll see you then. Bye.